my faith had always been very important to me. And my freshman year in high school, I really decided to get really involved in my church's youth group. And that is when I wanted to learn what, God was to me during this time. Because I heard stories and read the Bible verses, and heard it from my family in Sunday school. But I really wanted to learn what God meant to me and how He was impacting my life. And I didn't really understand His impact until much later. He had been, with this journey with me of, all the struggles that I was facing as I was growing up. But He was there as my constant rock. And in high school, I discovered my passion, my calling in life, which was being a voice for people with disabilities and being able to share my story in hopes that it would help other people. I had never looked at myself as being inspirational. I had never, I never really like to say, oh, I'm my story. I'm the kid that was told that I could never do the things that I'm doing now. I was just somebody trying to get through day-to-day life and trying my best. And through that, being able to hear, people's reactions to when I shared my story. I got to speak at numerous conferences over high school, in high school, and I was able to share my story. How I went from, starting out in the Walker and then AFOs, and being the person that I am today. And really, I owe that all to God and to my family. High school was very difficult, middle and high school, because I was trying to figure out who I was and what my purpose was in life. And it was hard for me because, in a way, you're embarrassed because, you know that you're different, but it's kind of like this almost like, do I need to hide this part of myself? And through, going to youth group and meeting people in my church, it was really about embracing what made me different and being okay with, I was born and I wasn't supposed to walk, and I'm not so-called normal. I hate that word normal because it's so overrated. There is no normal. We live in a world where, normal is it's overrated. And through that experience, through advocating and through, having the church support through those years, I was able to find my voice. And I was able to help these kids and these families who were dealing with the same, things that my family and I faced. But my story was able to help them know that, their kids can get to, be independent and eventually go to college and, learn to drive, to do all the things that they want their kids to do to be independent. And that was really empowering for me to see that, the more I told my story, the more it helped people. And that's what I really wanted to do with my life, was to find ways where I could help people and spread the message of, hope and that nothing is impossible. And it's hard, life will throw you so many curveballs, but it's how you keep going and how you continue and how, I really relied on God to get me through the hardest parts of my life, and He was there as an anchor, as a, he was there, even though, it was kind of hard to understand what was next for me in my life. And now that I've gone through college and I've been, experienced more about the world, and I've been able to, travel and, before all this, I've learned more about myself, and I've found
How much time was she supposed to have?
Amazing support of family and friends that have really helped
7
me
minutes.
really embrace that my CP is not a weakness, but it is a strength. And the more that I'm able to, share my story of, being the kid that, wasn't supposed to walk and wasn't supposed to, probably ever, no one ever would imagine that I would be in a place where I could have the resources that I would be able to, go to college, get my degree, and work in a place where I could live independently and get a job and have all those dreams that I had for myself become a reality. So this was, through my whole experience, with starting activism, it's really taught me to be grateful for every day, to be so blessed that I am in a place where I can share my story, where I can learn from other stories. It's not, my more now than ever, I'm learning that it's so important that we embrace each other's differences. And I feel like, especially now, we, we need to embrace it. We don't need to hide or be embarrassed about what makes us different, but we have to embrace it, because that's where, for me, CP gave me a voice. CP gave me a purpose in life. It is a part of me. It doesn't define me, but it is a part of me, and it's helped me find my purpose in life. And one of my favorite scriptures is 2 Corinthians verses 9 and 10. And he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasures in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, to prosecutions and distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong." And this was Paul's letter to Jesus, and it was him really saying that, his blindness, as not seeing it as a weakness, but as his strength, that he was embracing this. And this is my favorite verse because it really embodies what my I can really relate to Paul in the sense that at a time in my life where I was worried about what how people would view me with CP, as I was scared to share it. But now, it is my strength. It's not a weakness. And so, overall, I'm just so grateful that I have been able to have a platform where I could share my stories in hopes that it would help other people and bring them hope and peace, and motivate them that, not everything is that things are possible, that no matter what statistics say, or how hard it seems at the moment, that you can do whatever you set your mind to, no matter what anyone or anything says, with God's help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hope, for sharing with us. We really appreciate you sharing your life, your story, your journey with us. And we love you, and we're just so thankful for you. We are so glad always to hear the stories of faith, the faith of our congregation, to hear how, like in our scripture, Jesus is the Word made flesh. We heard that in our scripture, and as I hear Hope's story, I think about that, how we can all be love made flesh in our world, learning to be like Jesus in our world. It's really Christmas being born in our hearts. And as I hear her story, that's what I think of, is the Christ being born in her, so that others can see in flesh the love in our world. I'd like to invite us to sing